1982 film Trick or Treats. Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review of another 80s horror film as I continue my 80s horror marathon. Trick or Treats has nothing to do with the heavy metal rock movie that came out years after this, which I'll get to that sometime. Has nothing to do with the Trick or Treat, the anthology film, which is a great anthology horror film, came out in the 2000s. This one is billed as a slasher film, but it's not a slasher film. It's not a slasher film at all. You have a cast that includes people like Peter Jason, David Carradine, Steve Railsback, and this movie is incredibly dull, boring, a nothing of a movie with a lame twist ending, a waste of some genuinely good actors, and I believe the director has passed away, which is too bad. I do wonder, though, when a movie like this is made, what the writing, directing, what was the program? What was the idea? What was the thinking behind this? To set this in front of an audience, what is your ideal result that you thought the audience would think of after viewing this motion picture? Because you get a movie where most of the film, like 70% of the film, is this babysitter being pranked on again and again and again and again by this little annoying kid as she falls for it every time. That's 70% of this movie. I am not joking. Was this trying to be a satire on slasher films? Was this trying to be a spoof on slasher films? If it were, it failed. Peter Jason, you may recognize him from John Carpenter films like Village of the Damned, They Live, Prince of Darkness. If not, if you remember the first 48 hours and the guy who played the cowboy bartender who Eddie Murphy gets info out of, that's Peter Jason. He plays a guy who one day his wife just sends him to the mental asylum. The wife is played by an actress named Carrie Snodgress, which she did fine in this film I reviewed long ago, and it's on the 80s horror playlist I made, The Attic, 1980. She did fine in that. Here, she has nothing to do. And let me ask you something. Is it that easy to send someone to a mental asylum? You just call someone and they come by with a straitjacket, and literally like 10 minutes, this goofy scene where these two guys are trying to put a straitjacket on Peter Jason and they all fall in the pool. I'm like, is this meant to be funny? Are we meant to laugh at this? Or is this so poorly done? I mean, I don't know. And then I'm like, again, what? Is it that easy? Like, there's no law, there's no tests, there's no anything. My husband in a mental asylum, and it just happens. And we don't know why he's being put into an asylum. I guess we're led to believe that the wife is just a biatch who later on she marries and is with another person played by David Carradine. David Carradine's in this film for like 5 minutes, playing a magician. They probably did a scene. I guarantee they did a scene in one day. I guess he's a foreign magician. He's got a hat. He tries to hit on the babysitter, and him and Carrie Snodgress leave, and he never comes back to the movie. So yeah, what a waste of David Carradine. The lead girl, I thought she did a bad job acting, and I thought her delivery of lines felt fake and phony. She's a girl who, she's an actress, but all she did for jobs is babysitting for rich people. Steve Railsback, who I like in films a la Blue Monkey, Turkey Shoot, Life Force, all films I reviewed on this channel, all films I enjoy, all films miles better than this. And he is an actor who's getting ready to play Othello, and he appears like 3 or 4 times just calling his girlfriend. They probably did his stuff in one day too. Because he's in the same set, the same costume, and it's just him talking on a phone. So again, a waste of Steve Railsback. You have 2 good actors, David Carradine and Steve Railsback, and you waste them on nothing roles. Peter Jason, who looks like Meatloaf, I'm ready for him to go, like a bat of hell, keep going till you're gone. He looks like Meatloaf nowadays, with the short hair. There's nothing intimidating about this guy. There's nothing scary about this guy, at least the way it was played. You're crazy, Bert. I'm mad. That's the dialogue. And he escapes. He escapes by not killing the nurse, but knocking her out, punches a guard, and he dresses up as a nurse. Yes, Peter Jason in drag, dressing up as a nurse. And he escapes on Halloween while the babysitter is taking care of this kid. And this kid, I guess, was the director's kid. I'm sorry, maybe it's not the actor's fault. Maybe it's the way his dad directed him. But this kid was the most annoying turd, shitwad, fuckwit, fuckhead that you want to kick him through a field goal that's on fire, land in a pool of acid with spikes in it. This kid was so annoying, irritating, aggravating. You want the killer to kill him. And I wish that happened, because that would have at least given me some kind of applause to the movie, or some kind of nod, or a thumbs up, or a mid thumbs up, or a pinky up. But no. And like I said, 70% of the film or more is just this kid constantly doing these tricks on this girl as she falls for it every fucking time. Every fucking time. He has a guillotine toy. She thinks his head's been cut off. No. He goes, are you the babysitter? There's a smoke bomb. He stares her with a mask. There's a buzzer in his hand. He makes it look like he's drowned. And she cries. And of course he's faking it. Finally, she tells the story of the boy who cried wolf. And you're thinking, oh, well, that's going to come back. In a good movie, that would come back and go, oh, well, the kid, he's playing all these tricks. But the reason there's so many is that at the end, maybe, oh, the killer's here and now she won't believe him. Nope. Or maybe when you're kind of supposed to think the kid's dead, but he's not. Oh yeah, you're faking it. But then the kid's really dead. This is all stuff you could do in a good story, but none of it comes to play. So there is no reason why she told the boy who cried wolf story. Peter Jason, he's just wandering around the streets. Some guy tries to pick him up. He not even beats up, but he threatens these two bums. One of them is Paul Bartel, who had a short role in Choppy Mall. He did Eating Raoul. Paul Bartel, he's director and character actor. Worked with Roger Corman quite a few times. He's there as a bum. The kid cuts his finger off, but not really. This woman keeps falling for every fucking trick, and it is boring. This is a movie that's advertised by the poster, by the trailer, as a slasher film, and there is no slashing. Most of it is just this woman who's being poorly acted, this kid who's annoying as fuck, playing tricks on this woman. Once in a while, she gets called by Steve Railsback. At one point, gets a call from Carrie Snodgress, and she's like, oh, your son is a holy terror. One point, the movie just literally breaks away to these two females editing a movie. A horror film. And I don't know if it's the director was trying to make a statement. How much more can be spilled? That's what it is today. And then they show their film within a film, which also sucks. And the reason these two are in the film is because the lead calls her and says, hey, do you have my footage for, when a reel, an acting reel? So one of them goes off to the house, and finally Peter Jason gets there, kills the girl. You barely know how he killed that friend of hers who brought the film. Long as hell scene where this friend of the lead's wanders around, I swear, for 5 minutes. She gets stabbed, but you don't see much. That's the first death, and over an hour in the movie. And it's one of the only deaths you're going to get. Again, you should have had the killer going for the kid, and the kid yells, but she doesn't buy it. hence boy crying wolf. Or she sees the kid's dead body and the kid is dead. She thinks it's another trick, but then, she kills the killer. No. Instead, she goes in this long, boring cat-mouse chase with the killer, Peter Jason, who's not threatening, who's not intimidating, who's going after the babysitter because he sees the nightgown. The nightgown reminds him of his wife, so he thinks the woman is his wife. So not only is he ineffective, he's an idiot, this killer. And then the kid's not dead. The lady and the kid lead, and I don't know if this kid is supposed to be Peter Jason's son or David Carradine's son. I didn't really get that. If it's supposed to be his father, is it Peter Jason's son? Because at the beginning, after that happened, it's several years later, and now there's this kid, or is that supposed to be David Carradine's son? I would guess it's supposed to be Peter Jason's son, since the kid is not that young. But again, I don't know. So, how the killer is killed is they have the toy guillotine. Peter Jason comes up. I guess the lead man handles him, and he nicely, this is a very nice killer, nicely puts his head right here on the guillotine. Lets it go, and it hits him in the back of the neck. Doesn't even chop the head off, anything, just hits him. He bleeds from his mouth, he dies. Like a bow of hell, and he keeps going until he's gone. Then you get to the twist. The woman lead is calling the cops, and the kid, for some reason, picks up the knife, rises up, ready to stab the girl. We hear her scream, cuts to the outside, and the movie ends. So, I guess because the kid was such a little turd, a little fuckwit throughout it, that automatically means he's also a serial killer. And I guess he'll blame that on the killer and when the mom comes home or whatever the fuck. Orson Welles is in the credits here as a magic consultant because Orson Welles, I guess, was big friends with the director. So Orson Welles is a magic consultant in this. So yeah, Orson Welles, the director of Citizen Kane, has a credit on Trick or Treats. It ain't a fucking treat unless it's a fucking dog treat and dog turds. And yeah, you tricked my ass and think it's a slasher film when it's not. If you're trying to have a parody or a spoof or a satire, you failed. You have an incredibly boring film. This is easily one of the worst horror films of 1982. Easily, if you want to label this as a slasher film, this is one of the worst 80s slasher films out there. Because what's the body count? The killer kills, what, one person? And again, why are you making a film that you advertise as a slasher? Look at the poster that I put in the thumbnail. Look it up for yourself on Google. Look up the trailer. Which I always thought the trailer was funny because the narrator was like being over the top. When was the last time you were stopped by a madman? I've never heard that narrator in a trailer before or since. I can see why. Give me Percy Rodriguez or the voice of Optimus Prime. Peter, I cannot believe I forgot his name. People will say in the comments. Peter Cullen, or others. I mean, DeFontaine, great trailer narrators. It's bullshit advertising. It's a bullshit movie, and it's a bullshit job, and I had to do it. But I saw this movie. I never had to see the fucking movie again. So yeah, if you want to see the film, you want to see Steve Railsback in 3 or 4 scenes talking on the phone, being wasted and nothing. You want to see David Carradine have 5 minutes just trying to pick up, try to hit on the lead girl with a magician outfit on, top hat. If you want to see 70% of this annoying little turd, this little annoying character fuckwit, I have nothing against the actor who played him, the kid. It's the character I'm talking about. This is a character you want to put in the dryer and leave there for eternity. This is a kid that you want to put on a mountain and do a little bit of that movie Alive. You ever seen Alive? Or maybe some cliffhanger and hang his ass off the cliff. And then a dumb twist, dumb movie, boring as fuck. No suspense, no steers, no laughs, no blood. Trick or Treats tricked my ass. It's a piece of fucking shit. It's a horrible fucking movie, and it's fucking garbage. If you like the film, please tell me why. And somehow this goddamn movie got a Blu-ray. That pisses me off more. Why the fuck does this film have a Blu-ray? Blue Monkey doesn't have one. Murder by Phone doesn't have one. The fucking Golden Child with Eddie Murphy doesn't have one. Another 48 Hours doesn't have one. What was it? Rad doesn't have one. All these other movies that don't have a fucking Blu-ray, but Trick or Treats does. April Fool's Day from 1986 doesn't have a fucking Blu-ray, but this piece of shit does. So fuck this fucking flick.